let's talk about fetch. So where is it? This one, yeah. Let's go into this. So we are going to be looking at JSON and then promises, fetch, async, await. Just how to do all of those. So what I want to do is that on this our portfolio page, remember we created a fake array that is bringing back these things. I want to make a real API call, so a back end, and then use that to display here instead. So first things first, we'll make sure that we are done with all of this. Let's just close it. Portfolio.html. And that side was here. This is our section. So let's just make sure the section is correct still, and we can still use this. So ID is testimonials. It has a style. What are people saying? We have our testimonial text, our testimonial author, and testimonial date. We also have these two buttons. So I think we are going to leave the HTML part the same way, and we are just going to go into the JavaScript and CSS parts of things. So now, for the JavaScript side of it, we want to. So what I'm going to do, because we have all this code online anyways, I'm going to delete this. Yeah. I'll delete this, or most of it at least. I still need the show next and previous. I think what I don't need is all of these test things we were doing that day, because I was just using this as tests for you guys. So I'm removing all of this. Again, we still have this in the, what was it called? We still have this in our GitHub. Yeah. So I'll create a variable. I'll call it let testimonials. It's just like that array we created, but that time we're passing like hard-coded array inside. Now we want to call an API and get testimonials. So let current index be 0. So the same thing we have here pretty much. I still want the current index because we use that to do our next and previous buttons. Now the same function is going to pretty much be similar. It's going to be called display testimonial, and it's going to take in the index, the current index. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, just update this whole function. I don't really need to show the dates because I don't think the API comes with a date. So now I'm going to say const t, let's just call it testimonial, short form for testimonial. It's going to take in that testimonials array and pass in the index. So remember, JavaScript array starts to count from 0. So any index that is passed in here is going to be the specific one that will be showing. Right? So if it's index 0, we know that is the first testimonial that will be showing because it's taking the testimonials and passing the index for it. Now, I can say document.get elements by ID, and the first one is testimonial text dot text content, and the text content will be, we talked about template literals the last time, t.body. Again, this is going to come from a back end. This is the back end response that I'm using to set on each of the elements by ID now that I'm getting, right? So this t.body is coming from the back end. There's a response called body, but we are going to create the back end as well. So just hold on. So testimonial author and testimonial date. So this one, we'll just call it t.name directly. The reason why we pass this one is because it's probably a very long string. And then this one as well, we'll just say from, we'll attach a string, and then t.email, because we also want to show the person's email as the dates, I guess. So if that's the case, so we have text and author. Okay, we'll probably need dates back, but I'll just change it to testimonial email, and then name it email here, just so that it's matching what it actually belongs to. So this .email, .body, .name, they all come from the back end response. Just have that at the back of your mind. Now, the next thing we want to do is our show next function, which is pretty much going to be the same thing. I'm not deleting anything, and our show previous function is going to be the same thing. Now, let's make our back end call. So for our back end call, we are going to do async function init testimonials. We are going to say try const response is equal to, this is where async and await comes in, right? This is how to write an asynchronous function. We talked about, you just pass async in front of the function. Now you have to use await so that it can wait for the response before it continue what it's doing. So fetch is a JavaScript inbuilt method to fetch something from backend to make an API call. We have some libraries that you can also use as well, but fetch is the inbuilt one. So you're going to say fetch and you pass in the API. So I want to call from this API. This is called JSON type code. We don't have any real backend. We've not created it ourselves. We've not created any server ourselves. So we don't have those yet, but we'll use one that is publicly available online. People have just created them and kept them online, and we can use them. So right now, we said that asynchronous functions or asynchronous calls are the modern and the best ways to do it, because when they are going to fetch something from the back end to come back, it doesn't have to put your whole operation on your website on pause. Other things can still be going on while the results comes back. So to do that, you just pass in async, the keyword async, and then the name of the function. And we also talked about using try-catch blocks, right? We talked about try-catch, that is better ways of writing your function so that they can catch any errors. So the only thing is that we are going to add a catch. We are going to add our function to fetch our testimonial in a try-catch. And the try part is going to hold the API call, and the catch part is going to catch any errors. So now, inside here, I'm just going to make a constant called const response. And whenever you use async, you have to use await keyword as well, because await is going to, within that function, is going to wait for the API call to send and do something and return the results, and then do the rest of the function. So we are going to pass in await fetch. I also talked about fetch being the inbuilt JavaScript method to fetch resources from the back end. We have other libraries that you can use like Axios, but fetch is like a very popular one. It comes inbuilt with JavaScript, and you can use it to fetch something from the back end. So we pass in fetch, and inside here you pass in the API. We've not gone in depth on APIs because it's a back end thing. It's called application programming interface, but you create them on the back end so that you can call it on the front end, and when you call it, it's going to get you a specific resource from the back end. So in this case, we've not created this API ourselves. Somebody else has created it in their own back end. We are just trying to use it because this course is not about back end. So this is the API. It's called JSON placeholder .typecode.com/ I want to fetch their comments and use that as my testimonials. And then you can pass in, there's something called query params. I don't want to go too far to make you people's head even more confused than it is. But if you call this, you are calling the entire comments that exist. But you can create your APIs in a way that you can set certain parameters that when you are calling the API, if you just like a function, you can pass parameters to them. You can pass parameters to your API, and it's going to give you extra functionality. So one of the parameters that they've created for us in this dummy API is limits. And to pass in a parameter, you use question mark after the main API. And one of the parameters, they said we can pass in limits. We just want the first five comments because we don't need to fetch the whole thing, right? Because it's probably thousands that they've created and kept for us. So we pass in the first 5. And now, inside this our try block, we are going to say if there is no response, because remember, response is what is holding this our fetch. So once it comes back, if nothing comes back, that is, if no response comes back, right? So if there's no response .ok, so there are different things. It can come back as okay, that is, it was successful, or it can throw an error. So if is not this logical not, if it's not response .ok, just throw a new error on the page for us and just say failed to fetch testimonials. Let's just call it that, right? But if there is an okay, if the response is okay to continue this next one we are doing, we can now say await response.json, right? And then please, can you mute your mic? So this is us now. We are saving the fetched data. So if the response is okay, we want to save it to this variable called testimonials, which is this array that we created. It's empty at first, but if the response comes back as okay, we are passing the response into this empty variable, which makes it no longer empty, right? And then we want to call this display testimonials function. Remember, display testimonial, what it does for us is that it just sort of gets all the elements by ID and passes the text contents, injects the contents of the body into each of them, right? So we want to call display testimonial. Remember, display testimonial also expects a parameter. The parameter is going to be what's current index, which starts from 0. And remember, when we click next, it's going to add 1 to the current index and make it 1. So it's going to be looking at the next testimonial in this array, which we've just saved this data into, right? So pretty much that's it. Now in the catch block, we want to catch any errors. So with this one, I'm just going to say document.getElements by ID.
Sorry.
Yeah?
Is it current index or current?
Oh, I did not spell it right from the first time. So I just left it as current. But when you are writing it, please, by all means, do it correctly.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you for that. Actually, you know what? It won't take anything from me now to just change it. I just didn't want to start changing it everywhere and then risk making a mistake. But to be fair, it's probably worth. So yeah, exists here as well. Exists here as well. And now all the wrong ones are gone. It's probably worth making it right. So now get elements by ID, testimonials. So we are just trying to get this whole section's ID, this section, right? So that if there's an error, we can inject that error into that section. And then we can say .inner HTML is equal to. So we are going to just construct a new paragraph there. And in that paragraph, we will just style it as color red. And then we are just going to say error loading testimonials. And then we are going to pass in. Actually, this should be a template literal so that we can pass in some JavaScript to it without having to use concatenation. So we are going to pass in the error.message, which is whatever error that this catch block has caught. We are going to pass in error, but we are looking for the message property. So it's just going to give us the specific message inside the error. And that's pretty much it. So the next thing, we can just initialize the testimonials in here by saying documents dot add event listener. So the same way we initialize for contact validation. So so that the moment the web page loads, these our functions are already loaded, waiting for the user. Do you get? Even before before the moment the page loads, it just calls this function immediately. So yeah, now we have it. Let's see if it works. Hopefully we've not made any silly mistakes. So yeah, it works. But apparently it's not in English, it's in Latin or something. But yeah, it works. So we are getting the body, the name, and the whatever it's called, author, right, or something like that. And our functions still work as normal. Next. So it's fine. So now we've made a real API call to a backend. We are no longer using that dummy testimonial array. If you check the previous one, if you see, we had like this array in here where we wrote some testimonials by ourselves and then we were using it. But now we are not doing that. Everything is just dynamic now. We called a real API, although we didn't build it from our back end, but then somebody else built it. We are just calling it. And then we are using that to display onto the front end, which is perfect. Great. So I think the final thing I would want to show before we move into deploying this website is to talk about storage, because I think that's one of the other things we spoke about. We talked about, yeah, so I'll just quickly show you guys what the Chrome Dev Tools are as well, then storage. So if you right click and go to inspect elements, you will see that there are some tabs here: elements, console, sources, network, performance, memory, application. So I'll just talk about some of them. Like elements, now this shows you everything, all the HTML and CSS on your page, and you can go in here and edit anything you want. You can select something. I can choose to give this thing a background of red, right? Let's see if it works. Well, I think I'm setting it somewhere else. Let me use important and see what happened, unless it's not this one. Yeah, something else was overpowering it. So this is just for testing. It's not permanent. If I refresh my page, it goes off. But sometimes when you are doing things and you are doing it from your code, it's not really, you cannot see it side by side. It's just good to come in here and tweak things, see what works exactly the way you want it to work, and then take that to your code, put it on your code, save and refresh. Nice. Same with console. You can use it to console.log things. If we are making an error, let's say we are not calling the correct API now, and we save, you can see the error here now. It's showing like there's an error, net name not resolved, right? And now we are getting our error loading testimonials, failed to fetch. That's the error.message coming in. Our .catch block just caught it. If we didn't put this .catch block, everything would have just broken because an error happened. So this is why it's good to implement proper practices and then know how to use your developer tools. Same with the sources. We talked about how this one is for breaking points in JavaScript. You can use it to attach breakpoints. You attach setting breakpoint, and then when your code is running, to stop somewhere, and then you can use your hand to like step. We talked about network as well. This one is showing all your resources, but what we are interested in is the fetch, the ones that are coming from actual API calls. So if we clear this now and we refresh, we can see that, you know what, let's go to home, and then let's go to where is that again? It's on portfolio. Why am I not seeing that specific one? I think I might just refresh this whole page. Sorry, I'll open it, go to network, refresh everything. Yeah, so you can see our API call, and this is all the response we got. So sometimes when you make an API call, you can look for the specific one here. You can look at it, you see that it's called the same thing we called. The response is 200. It did everything. Same thing, if it's an error, you see it in here as well. This is the response and everything. So we have things like performance, memory, application. This is where you will see the local storage wherever we are setting it. For now, we are not setting any yet, but yeah. So let's just move on to the final one, which is that local storage, setting and getting an item, and then we deploy. So for that, I'm just going to create a function. I'll create a function. I'm going to call it favorite place. I think I want to also show it on the portfolio page. Yeah, nothing bad there. So I'll just create its function, save favorite. I want to save the favorite place of the user so that anytime they come back, they can see the favorite place that they selected. And then I'll say const saved is equal to local storage dot get item. No, actually, I'm not talking of get. I'm talking of to save. Const selected is equal to documents dot get elements by ID. Of course, I've not created the element, but I'll create an element that will have this. I'll create an element that will have this ID called favorite location in my HTML dot value. So I'm just getting the value of the elements. Oh, jeez. dot value, right? So that's it. So if selected, so if something is selected, actually, I want to say local storage dot set item favorite place. So you have to give a name that you want to use and set that item in the local storage. And then you pass in the item that was set, right? And then you call show favorites, which is going to be another function I'm going to create down here to use and get the item from local storage. So what we've just done, I created a function called save favorites. There will be an input field on the portfolio page. It's just going to be a select drop down, and the user can select a favorite location. And once they save it, it's going to be saved to their local storage. And I will now call this show favorites function so that it's going to immediately show on the page once they save. So I'll create the show favorites function now, and then I will just create const saved is equal to local storage dot now get that item that we saved, and you get it using the name. So that's why it's important to save it using a name in the first place. So it will go to the local storage and search for this name and bring back whatever value is in that. So const message, you will do this mostly when you are doing back end things like registration, login, sign up and login flow. This is where you get to understand local storage and setting certain things on the local storage. But then I think cookies are like the best way to actually do it, because like I said, they have different ways of storing things on your browser, and I think cookies is like more secure and one of the best ways. So get elements by ID. We call it favorite message. Favorite message. And favorite message is going to be inside this logic. If saved, so if it found something there, right, it's going to say message dot text content. So we are trying to change the text content of whatever elements this is going to be. Again, we've not created the elements, but we will in front. And we are just going to say your favorite place is, and then we're going to pass whatever came in saved, because again, we are calling get item on here, right? Else, if nothing came in saved, we are just going to leave it as empty, right? Now I'm going to trigger this function when the DOM loads. So I'll add an event listener here, and I'll call it DOM content loaded, and then it's just going to call show favorites. So if I want to create there'll be CSS for it as well. So let me just quickly create the CSS. It will be in the portfolio side. Where's that portfolio side? Yeah, I want to create it somewhere here between the table and the video. So let me just add its CSS in here. I'll have a CSS called favorite location. I just hope spelling is not going to cost us to spend another 10 minutes, because I feel like I'm rushing and I'm making typos. So margin will be 40 px and 0. So top, bottom 40, left, right 0. Padding will be 20 pixels. Background color would be just slightly off white, F4, 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 which is pretty much white to be fair. Border left, I want it 5 pixels. Solid hash 4598 A0A0. So it's going to be a little bit transparent. And then border radius is going to be 8 pixels. I'm just designing the card that the favorite place will stay in. Maximum width of 500 pixels. Text align off left, right? And then I want another one. Favorite location, the H4, because I'm going to give it a title. I just need the margin bottom to be 10 pixels. And then I need the color of it to be hashtag 333, so just dark gray. Then I want another CSS. This one is an ID of favorite. Remember, there's a class of favorite location with dot, and there's an ID with hashtag. So it's going to be like padding 8 pixels, top, bottom, 12 pixels, left, right. Font size. Actually, I should have just written this somewhere and copied it. 1 rem. Margin right, 10 pixels. So when you are doing this, just make sure that you take your time to do it so you can equally understand what I'm doing here. Not that you're just typing because you want to see yours work too. So make sure that you are understanding every single thing you are doing and why you are doing it before you do it. So for this one, I'll call it favorite location, but it's going to have a button, because we need a button, right, to submit any location that the person picks. So it's going to be 8px left, right, 14px top, bottom for padding, and then background color would be hashtag, pretty much going to be the same thing with this one to be fair. And then color is going to be white, and then border is going to be none. I don't want a border on the bottom. Border radius is going to be 5 pixels. Font size is going to be 1 rem. Cursor is going to be pointer. And I want on hover, the button should have certain behavior. Again, this is not because it's extremely important. It's just nice to have. I just want our page to still look good, not because I'm trying to drive a point home. That would mean that our page is going to be, all over the place. So on hover, maybe something like this. I don't know. Actually, it can't be too different. Maybe on hover, something just slightly. I don't know why it's. Yeah, just something slightly different. Then favorite message, the final one, is going to be margin top of 15 pixels, font style of italic, color of, let's use the same one, and font weight of bold. So we just have this now. So let's actually create the thing in portfolio HTML. So I said I wanted it between the table. There's our table. Between this, our table. And, sorry, please hold on. Let me just find a better place where it should be. So it's going to be, oh, it's closed. More projects. So I want it, you know what, let it just be at the very end. Let it just be at the very end. So I'll create its own section and I'll give it a class of favorite location. Well, according to what we set in our JavaScript and CSS, so I'll just go around to be sure that I'm getting the right wordings, right? So favorite location. Hopefully I've spelled everything well. I'm just going around to check that I've spelled it all well so that we are not going back and forth. So this is going to have a class of favorite location, right? And I'll just do an H4 and I'll just say select your favorite location. And then in this H4, I'll have a select drop down. I'll give it an ID of favorite location. So that's the other hashtag, right, in our CSS. And then it's going to have option value will be empty because they are allowed to choose empty, right? And I will just say choose. So just choose. And then we are going to have option value. Let's just put random places. And then it's going to have the same thing. So I'll just copy it and paste it severally and change it. So yeah, and then finally we are going to have that button on click is going to call save favorites for us. It's going to call save favorites. Yeah. It's going to have save. I hope I spelled it well. Save favorites. Yeah. And then the favor message. So hopefully, if we've done everything well, it should be fine. So yeah, we have this now. So it's going to say select your favorite location. Obviously, it's going to say select your favorite location. And then you can choose anyone and then you save. It's not telling me if I've saved anything. Okay, I've made a mistake somewhere. It should actually show the thing on click. Yeah, I said on click. So yeah, so you choose and your favorite place. See what I'm spelling. Your favorite place is whatever you've picked, right? So your favorite place is this, your favorite place is that. So pretty much that's all there is. Anything you pick is going to save it there. Anything you pick is going to save it there. And then make this slightly lighter. Yeah, so favorite location. So you see that I still bringing that back. And if we look in our local storage now, you're going to see that there is going to be in file, there's going to be that keyword favorite place, and the value is going to be whatever you saved. So if we save a new one, you see that it has changed, and anytime we refresh, it's always going to bring that back. So until you explicitly call local storage just remove item, it's going to always have that in there, right? So just have that at the back of your mind. So finally, let's just do deployments. I might even have to do this as part 1 and 2 again, honestly, because it's really long and it's going to take a lot to edit it. So for deployments, I already actually did the project, but maybe I will just delete it if it's easy for me to delete right now. You know what, we are running out of time. I don't have time to start figuring out where to delete it, but you go on this site called I'll sign out, but it's called Netlify. So when you go on Netlify, you just click it and you log in, right? It will take you to the login page. So you can log in with your email, with your GitHub, anyone. So for me, I will log in with my email. Hopefully, I remember my login details. I don't know who has asked me to log out. No. But yeah, so when you log in, if it's correct, yeah, you log in. So obviously, you create an account at first. If you don't have an account, you create an account, you log in, and then you can see all the projects that you've ever done here. So Netlify is a deployment platform for deploying front-end applications, right? And they have a free deployment tier, and they have the one that you can pay for as well. For today, we'll be using the free one. The only difference is that when you use the free one, it's going to attach their name to your website, and I'll show you what that means. So you go add projects. So you have different options to add, but we'll be importing an existing project, and we'll be importing that from where? From our GitHub, because this project is already on our GitHub, right? So you go to GitHub, and then if you've never given it access to your GitHub, it's going to ask you for the access. But if you have, it's going to have access to your GitHub. So essentially, if you click GitHub, it's just going to ask you for access. You enter your password, you log in, and you have access to everything. So now you look for the application. The repository you want is landscapes. So you enter the project name, and that's the name that is going to show off of your website. So whatever you are building. So for us, I'm building beautiful landscapes. And if nobody has it, it's going to tell you that nobody has it. But because somebody has it, is obviously not going to accept that. So right now, I can choose to add hyphen. Hyphen is also not available. Somebody has it. So we have to, I'll just use one L, and then it's going to continue. So beautiful landscapes. Nobody has this. And you choose the branch you want it to deploy from. Usually, you want to deploy from your main branch, because your main branch usually has your final work, right? Your main branch usually has your most correct and accurate work. After you've tested, after you've pushed to other branch, you've done pull request, somebody has accepted it. The main branch is the cleanest branch. So you want to choose your main branch. Sometimes it's called a master branch, sometimes it's called production, sometimes it's called release, but that final branch. Then based directly, you want to start from the root, right? So you just put dots. Build command, we don't really need any build command here. If you have environment variables, so by environment variables, these are the things that you put in git ignore, that is not supposed to be on, that is not supposed to be pushed to git, right? And when you are deploying, because it's collecting from git, that means that it's not going to see those things. So this is where you can come and add those things. It will be hidden within this environment, but we don't have any for now. So we are just going to say deploy beautiful landscapes, and it's going to start the process. So you're going to literally see it here as it's building everything for you. This is the log. So all files uploaded, is initializing, it's processing, is complete, and all downloaded and everything. So if we go back to our page, let's see if it has built everything for us. So we can see that we now have our website. And this is it. So you see that it's appending .netlify.app. So if you want to pay for it, you can use your own domain name. It's not going to add theirs, but clearly this is not a paid course. And if we go, our website is live. You can give it to anybody. They have access to it. They will see everything you've done. But the beautiful part is that what we've just done is that we've set up a deployment pipeline, so that anytime we push to our GitHub and we merge code to our main, it's going to automatically run the build again for us, and it's to update. This is what we call CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Obviously, there's more to it, but I'm just giving you people a scratching the surface type of thing. So right now, I'm going to push up all our code to GitHub. We want everything, right? So if we do git status, these are the 5 files we have, including contact.js, that is the new file. So I'll just do git add because I want everything, right? So if I do git status again, mind you, I'm pushing directly to my main branch now. So if I do git status again, it's all staged. So git commit. So what did we do today? Add form validation using JavaScript. What else did we do? Call API for using fetch async and await with proper try catch blocks. What else did we do? We did save favorite location on local storage. I think these are the 3 main things we did. Of course, we looked at things like DevTools, but we didn't really do any practical on it. So we've committed, and then we push git push origin main, and now our work has been successfully pushed. So if we go to GitHub, we'll see that our work is there, and if we go to Netlify, we'll see that it's building again, because it has noticed that there is a new push to that branch that we've set that it should be collecting from. So as we can see, we have everything we did today just now. Everything is here. And on Netlify, let's refresh and see if it rebuilds the thing for us. So you see that it's starting a new build. And look at the commit message we've just done. Add form validation, call this, right? And it's doing everything afresh for us. Hopefully it doesn't error. And if it builds, we will see that our website, because right now our website doesn't have like the testimonial, the favorite location part, it doesn't have form validation, right? It's not there because, oh, it's built actually, so it's there, right? So it's just done now. It just built right now, like literally as we're speaking. It just published the second one. So if you go to deploys, you can see everything you've deployed so far. You can just play around with this, just get curious and play around. But then you see like our whole page is now updated. We now have our location thing. We can save. If we refresh, it should still come back as the favorite place in local storage. Everything, you know. Our API calls are being made. Where is it? Yeah, it's fetching our API calls. The whole thing, which is really beautiful. Like we've done a full end to end. We've even called back end here in a way, right? That's why it initially said it was full stack, although it's not like we didn't build back end. So I won't call it full stack. But yeah, I'm really happy. The progress of everything we've made so far, we've really done well with this our phase 1 of our session, and I'm just looking forward to everybody completing their projects and coming to phase 2. So yeah, if there's any questions you can leave it, otherwise feel free to the end of the class. Catherine, how are you feeling? We've done deployments. I know you can't wait for your website to be online.
I cannot wait to.
Yeah, so that would be good when I give you guys the whole portfolio project, which I will announce after I've uploaded all the videos. I'll give you guys the portfolio project, and then you guys can build your portfolios and deploy it online. And if someone asks you, oh, you're a web developer, yes, you can show them your portfolio. Nice website, they see what you do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will upload the videos and update you guys on everything. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.